I feel like whenever a new installment releases it within a franchise, they should at least build upon and innovate what made the franchise so special to its fans, especially from like a well-established company such as Nintendo, where I don't think budget should be the main issue for the quality or lack thereof within their games. And it's just an awful excuse I kind of see nowadays. And yeah, I'm like well aware of this conversation with the Pokemon franchise. A good example of a franchise I no longer mess with because of the downfall of the quality within their games. And it's just a sad sight to see, just due to developers just use it for just a cash grab. Enough with Pokemon. The game I'm referring to in this case is Animal Crossing New Horizons. A game that fails at its own success. If you take a look at it, it makes sense. One, it's released on the Nintendo Switch and released during the pandemic, and just those two things combined, the sales numbers just like just went over the roof, which was made it the game to get during that time. And I think that got to Nintendo's heads because like I said, look at the sales numbers. Nintendo just clearly stopped giving a shit about the game just because they're like, nope, sales numbers, they're peak. We're gonna toss this game aside and just focus on something else. And I'm sure that's not the case. It surely did seem like the case when they're rolling out updates. The updates with the content that were already prior titles should already be in the base game that you're providing DLC for. I mean, give some credit. At least it's free DLC, but it just kind of rubs you the wrong way how they just release new games. It's like it's like polished. It's all nice and like high definition and whatnot, but it doesn't really exclude the fact that it's not a complete game when it doesn't have all the features. Hell, there's so many flaws within Animal Crossing New Horizons that hell, even like veterans and fans alike refer back to Animal Crossing New Leaf just to praise it in comparison and not to dog on Animal Crossing New Horizons, but I just played New Leaf. Dear child. I can still agree with the fans of the older games, and I can attest to their claims of how this game feels more like a dollhouse than it does like a live, genuine place to live in. And yeah, I know I'm dogging on this game enough, but that's not the topic of discussion. The topic of discussion is my experience with the game Animal Crossing New Leaf. My experience with the game doesn't include the welcome amiibo as it shows on here. I just have it saved just because. Dude, this is the only 3DS game I have physically, I think. I think so. Yeah. It's just so beloved in my heart. I had to get this. I think it was like on eBay or Amazon, but I have it like still sealed, as you can see. There's no ripple in it, so I just have it as a collectible. I already have it digitally as well. But with that aside, time to dive into my introspection on a game that was complete at launch with no necessary updates. And I hope you guys find some value in my thoughts on it. So I believe my introduction to the franchise was either through their Nintendo Direct, or I just saw one of like the highlighted videos that Nintendo feature on their channel for the time being. And what these Nintendo Directs are, they're pretty much presentations on new and upcoming titles for their most recent consoles for the time being. And one of them being Animal Crossing New Leaf for the Nintendo 3DS. And mind you, I never played Sims. I never played like a life simulation game before. So this just really caught my eye for some reason. It looked really cool to me. And I think which video really just sealed it for me is the one where Reggie like takes a tour of his home in Animal Crossing. I'm not saying his personal home because I don't know if that house in the video was actually Reggie's. It's just presumed that it was just for the video. But before he takes you inside and shows you around, he gives you tips on how to get the most amount of bells possible and just giving some general tips to the players. And then before you know it, he invites you inside, and then it shows all the Nintendo collectibles that you can get from, and just some like other rooms and some knickknacks. And on a little like side note to those collectibles, I think it's really cool how you get those, because you take your 3DS, you walk. So not only side note on the side note. So Street Pass is a feature on the 3DS where you walk by people with 3DSs and there's like a little notification right here, like notification light. I don't know if you can see. They kind of took advantage of it and added another feature on top of it, which is called Play Coins, and you just play coins within Street Pass as well. But how to get Play Coins? is you take 100 steps and then you earn a play coin. So in Animal Crossing, you need 2 play coins to get like this little fortune cookie, and that means you gotta take 200 steps, and then you buy it from like Nook's shop or Nook's Cranny or whatever that shit's called. And then once you eat the fortune cookie, it gives you a hint, and based off the hint, that's the Nintendo collectible you're gonna get. And so I thought that was really cool, and like the collectibles. But yeah, I think after that tour and then says like, okay, that's all I got, dude, I think I was touched. That's such an iconic line, and I think I was so invested. I went back to like Nintendo of America's channel, and I just like clicked through like all like sorts of videos and any media coverage for that matter, just to really get myself familiarized with the game. And I don't know, there's something about Animal Crossing. I don't know if it's just the simple town like lifestyle that was so appealing to me that I didn't even know at the time, but it just felt so like at home, and it's just like a new experience, and I just want to get myself immersed into that, and I thought it was really cool. Even after the game was released, I was watching playthroughs, primarily through the Zack Scott games, and it was just I think at the time, it was like a nice little, it's like my version of like a TV show to watch. It was really something special, and even like going back to his channel just to like see these videos for the sake of this video, it really brought me back, and it just really warms my heart. It just really reminds me, without like a reason to it, it's just a feeling of like why I love the game so much. It's just so homey, and it's such good vibes. Alright, so I finally have my hands on the game. I installed from the eShop, and I cracked that shit open, and man, I would be lying if I told you I didn't feel the most warmth and sincerity I have gotten from a game up to this very point. I mean, there was Mario Galaxy when I was younger, but I mean, from what I recall, this is just like I said, this was something new, something refreshing, something I really needed at the time. And even years later today, I find myself looking at a YouTube video of just the OST, and that title theme just plays, and man, it just hits different, man. Like, I don't know what about it. It just reminds me of like early 2000s. Like, I'll get back to this point when I'm more reflecting on the game, just to keep that good first impression in mind. After you select your file or whatever, there's a character in the game that, with all due respect, just interrogates you, asks you personal questions and such, which determines your appearance. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's fine, because I think having your appearance based on like your answers to his questions is more like authentic to what the answers are, because it's more like describing the characteristics of his questions, if that makes any sense. So I know many players just look up a guide on YouTube just to know which answers to correct and how to answer them in order to achieve a desired look. And I mean, I get it. If a game's all about customization with like the homes, your town, you might as well do it with your character as well, which can be expanded upon with your hair and such. But the thing that you can't really change for whatever reason is your skin color, which is kind of diabolical, just because you're creating your own character in your own life here, and the fact that it just limits you to white is kind of nonsense in my opinion. I would be completely wrong by saying there's no way to change it. The only way is to stand outside. I don't know if it's only in the summer, but you stand outside for 15 minutes and then you eventually tan. But whether it's 15, 20, the fact that you even have to do this in the first place is kind of ridiculous. I mean, seeing myself, I don't really see much of a problem, but with people of many diversities, I can see that being a problem. Along with those personal questions he asks you, he also gives you maps of like the general town layouts. And mind you, these aren't pre-generated, so everyone's town is unique, which is just that much more diverse, because I know it could be a little limiting when you actually play the game and you actually see it, but I feel like the space you're working with is a perfect amount, where it's not too big, it's not too small. I think it's just great. It kind of sounds like I'm comparing dick sizes, but at least for me, I never really had a complaint about that. Once you choose the town of your liking, You get greeted at the train station with all the residents, including your like side chick, Isabel. She's like your secretary, guiding the player along more so, just telling you what the island's all about and what's your role as mayor, which is bestowed upon you once you arrive for some reason, which is the main mechanic of the game, and it's pretty cool how that plays out and how important the projects and stuff. I always say this because, I mean, like, again, like New Horizons just obliterated the importance of that because you just craft items and such. And it sounds like an improvement, but it also takes away how like, special a little thing like a project is, in my opinion. But to each their own. And we do think that was a warm welcoming for the residents. I think this just puts the cherry on top. So, like I said, once you arrive, you know, you kind of get your shit done with Isabel. And then I believe it's like with Tom Nook as well. All the residents invites you to like participate in a ceremony that commemorates you as like mayor. And then, so on the map, there's a little space called like, what was it, town square or town tree. I believe that's what it's called. I could be wrong. I could just label it in the video. But pretty much, you go in that certain area and then everyone gathers around. You plant a sapling in there and it becomes the town tree, which is like the centerpiece of the whole thing. And it's like a host for like festivals and such. It's really cool because I feel like it really reminds me of like, I guess a more generic thing is like New Year's resolutions and maybe you got a new job. So it's like a new beginning of sorts. But I think really it just reminds me that a journey really just starts with an origin, and the origin being the seed. And depending on where you go with that decision, it blossoms. Like the tree itself, it blossoms with you as you progress in the town and such. I think it's each day you play means more growth for the tree. So I don't know if you stay away then the tree doesn't grow, but matter of fact, the tree grows with you in real time, and it's, dude, it's a beautiful sight. And then there'll be days where you're just kind of disappointed, you know, with the progress of the town. It's not how you'd like it to be. And you just go over to the town tree, you can see how much growth it has along with you, even though it's not much, even though there's like days where it's not watered efficiently, maybe there's bad weather, but the matter of fact is it's still growing, it's still thriving, and so are you. So I mean, I feel like it's just, you know, it's something to be proud of, and you could always just sit on that little brick. There's like little brick tiles around the tree itself you can sit on, and you can just like reflect, and your character's like kicking its feet and shit. It's really cool. I mean, I'm a big fan, but yeah, I don't know. That's like, I think like that's a great way to that's like a great way to welcome me, in my opinion. As far as mechanics go, the mana role just expands upon the customizability of the whole experience. So, for example, the town schedule, you can say, so either you're an early bird, you're like super clean, or you're just a night owl. I'm sure there's some other settings in there, but matter of the fact is it's tailored to experience, which I do like and many others would like. If an IRL schedule is a certain way that you can adjust it to it, add in some buildings, put some structures and some other projects, and even the villagers partaking in help funding it, even if it's a few crumbs of bells. It's the thought that counts, you know. But the two main buildings that, you know, really I have like a lot of fond memories with is the museum and Club LOL. So I'll start with Club LOL, basically, which is a club where Dr. Shrunk and KK Slider like, you know, jams the beats with either his regular songs or 8-bit versions of the songs. Pretty cool. But I think what's one of the coolest features is there's these things called like gyroids. They kind of look like cactuses sometimes. You'll probably see some footage on the screen what they are, but not a single one looks the same. And they all make their own like little quirky sounds and whatnot. And what's actually very cool is these gyroids are based on like these, let me read this here because I actually wrote some notes on it. They're based on Japanese clay figures called hanawas, which are used in rituals and buried with the deceased during the Kofan period. So yeah, in New Leaf, there's like all these different types of gyroids with their own design and sound, like I just mentioned. And I think it's so cool that Nintendo takes the time to throw in like references to their culture, and it makes you really wonder the major significance these little clay figurines played in the Japanese heritage, you know? It's very interesting. And it's not only just Animal Crossing, but throughout Nintendo's games, a vast library of games where there's either small to like just elephant in the room type of pulls and references to, you know, their history. So I think that's really cool as well. But yeah, you find these things by like digging up bosses. Usually where fossils are, and I think they can be sold at a good price. But another side note with Club LOL that I'm not too fond of. So the other host, Dr. Shrunk, he's in there for just mainly one reason. It's just to give the player emotions. Like, not only just like through like the player or like to the player, but he literally gives like emotion to the players, like by actually unlocking the future thing. So you can actually tap in and your character and just react. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like this should just already be unlocked from the get-go. Makes it less authentic and more like AI, in my opinion. I guess I didn't really think too much about it in my first playthrough, but just I thought it was worth mentioning. It's really weird, but you know. So it's kind of so it's unfortunate that his only role is like there for him to tell jokes and you tell Rocket. So I guess it's, you know, cool to learn a little bit more about some characters, but I don't like how they just import a character just so you unlock a simple thing that you should already have unlocked. It's kind of like unnecessary. But anyways, now on to the museum. So not within the museum itself, just because it's really nothing until you start gathering donations for it. Like you can capture a lot of bugs, fishes, a lot of sea creatures. What was it? You could capture, I think I told you can dig up fossils as well. It's actually really cool because, yeah, not only you have the chance to donate them, but if you already donated them, you can sell them for a big cost, a big profit, I mean. And that's where you get most of your bills from, so you can implement that into funding your, like, initiatives and such. So that's pretty cool. But the reason why I mentioned the museum is because, so there's another island in the game called Tortimer's Island. Well, hop on Captain's boat, you go to the island, and it's just nice, like, deserted tropical island where these, like, little turtles live. And what makes this a little island so special, not only can you play with friends, which, you know, I can't recall if I did or not, but it was still fun playing with the villagers. And then when you get, like, some, what was it, island-specific currency, you also, this is where you find the really rare bugs. So I remember spending hours just like grinding, just capturing each bug at a time, and then also capturing just crazy sea creatures, I would say. Well, whether you just dive in and catch it, or you fish for it and then you just reel it in. It's simple, like, I mean, the fishing mechanics are not complex at all. You just tap A as soon as you see the line go down. But I guess it's like the immersion, the music, and like, I think the 3D also helps too, because at least this is at the time when I got my new 3DS. This is where they really improved the 3D of it, and you like slide that sucker up. It's popping up at you. It really showcases how beautiful like the environments are. It sounds weird to say, but sometimes I feel like I have an appreciation to nature due to the games I play, and Animal Crossing is one of them. Not only that, but I really just brought up the idea of why I love the beach so much. I like how Animal Crossing is kind of bringing out my interests, so that's also really cool. But going back to the bug hunting, I remember I was going up to Salt Lake to visit my mom, and sometimes we don't get there till like 1 in the morning, and I'll just be in the car just grinding for bugs and going back and forth on the island. So to give you some perspective, so the game kind of like works as like a log of sorts. So like, so where you're going, so imagine you're just like standing on a log and you're just like walking on it. Then like the globe is like the log. That makes any sense. So you can only see so far. You'll know once. You probably already know just watching the gameplay. But essentially, I remember just getting just out of view and then just going back, or just like going around the whole island, which isn't big. But I just love being patient, really just, you know, listening, like just, you know, like I said, just really feeling out the music, realizing how late it is. You gotta understand, you're there for the grind, you're there to get the bells, you're there to fill out your fucking catalog of like creatures and fossils you captured and dug up and discovered. And it's really cool. And it's so simple, but it really does bring a lot of pleasant memories. I remember playing this with a friend of mine. We were just like fishing, and it doesn't matter that we're just like literally just pressing A. Just the fact that we're just talking, you know, spinning some game, you know, just really just getting to know each other, having some deep thoughts, deep conversations. That's like really what it's all about. And I understand fishing like now, like I'm seeing it that way, but I don't know, it was a lot of fun capturing and like, you know, staying late at night until I go to the retail store and just cashing a big check for me. It was really something. But yeah, just to give you guys some context, or just like a lore, just so you guys have a better perspective of where my head was at. So let's go back to 2022. So at this time I was going to trade school, and what I was doing I was interested for the time being, you know, it was cool. The concept was really interesting to me at the time. Even with like the hardships I faced near the end of the year, I still like pushed through, and you know, I knew how well this could be paying out for me in the future. For a few months go by, I get the job for what I went into school for. I graduated a month later, then I'm working there. Somewhere around, I believe this was like halfway to like 2/3 of the year, after being experienced, what's it called, like a pyramid scheme with someone, that kind of like opened my eyes, or at least sort of explore my options rather, that made me want to like be financially free online and get out of the 9-to-5 system, you know. And I guess the reason why I'm like kind of mentioning all that is just because I'm like thinking about like what my life's gonna come to, and like the possibilities. And yeah, although I'm gonna get a lot of money, it's not gonna fulfill my purpose, you know. And I was just craving to like do something else, like I said, escaping that 9-to-5, really just working towards something that will eventually make me be free of the 9-to-5 and travel, you know, just to see other places. But so what helped me at that job there, I had a memory of Animal Crossing New Leaf. For whatever reason, I don't know what got into me, but I think this was the time I was looking into retrospectives and stuff, and Animal Crossing just came across my mind. I was like, let me boot up the music. I would be lying, but I didn't say I shed a tear of happiness in that moment. It just brought back, it's just like a flood of memories, you know. And I think this goes to everyone as well, but listening to music just unlocks like a time capsule. Which that time era you listen to that song in your lifetime, it just gets brought back after listening to it. And that's what I really felt, you know. I remember talking to all the villagers. I remember, you know, going to an island, like seeing all the seashells, capturing the bugs, you know, sort of seeing the museum, and it's really something to admire, you know. And although what I'm about to say makes no sense considering I said like I want to escape the 9-to-5, you know, make money online and sort of travel, but it's something so beautiful about just simple life, not chasing like the latest trends, not living extravagantly, and just living in the genuine moment, you know, the present moment. I mean, I believe I mentioned something about authenticity. Other than the City Folk and New Horizons, makes sense because City Folk is in a city, New Horizons is on an island. Animal Crossing, New Leaf, and some of the prior games really excel at the village like lifestyle, where it's like it's so simple. You know, everyone knows each other. You know, no one's boggled down with like modern society and stuff. And you know, that sort of vibe really reminds me of my visit to Catalina Island. You know, once I went there for the first time, seeing all the people, seeing like how lively the town is. You know, some person was blowing bubbles and shit, and there's like a jazz like coliseum, private beaches. There's like bison on the island. It's really good. It's a really cool place. But yeah, it's like sort of like the same concept. Like even though the place itself is not super big by any means, it's still like a nice simple life. People, you know, visit their local shops, get nice fresh fruit, fresh produce. They can go on their boats, they can enjoy the view, they not being tied down the phones. And when I say simple life, I don't mean job wise being tied down to a 9-to-5. I think that at least generally living without phones, I'm saying this as I'm like talking to a camera on my PC. Like I'm not like really one to talk, but I'm just saying for the general like public who are, you know, sucked in with TikTok and all that. I think it will be a nice refresher and just have their eyes open to like what really matters, you know. Like as long as you know what matters, and you know you have like a healthy amount of screen time, and then you know doing something else, it's something I like to at least improve on a day-to-day basis. And I mean, like I said, I mean, even though I have like a degree in the thing I went to school for, it doesn't matter if I'm like feeling miserable at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's heartbreaking to say the least. When I'm like reflecting back and like thinking back my childhood, and I'm thinking about like what I'm doing now, and I would be kind of confused. I suppose. I mean, I know I went there for money, but it's not. You gotta strike a good balance with like money and you know what you like to do and such. But you can say I'm getting sidetracked, but I'm just sort of, you know, this is my main introspection, and this is just my experience with the game and what the game gave me. And so going back to like listening to music, you know, and reflecting on my childhood, the music really just reminds me of like early 2000s, you know. like I don't know if you've seen the trend of like early 2000s videos, but they have like some nostalgic like music along with like imagery from 2000s like Christmases, Halloweens, like school like parties and such. And it's really something that I don't think we can really capture nowadays. We can't really bring back that sort of vibe. And even the new series, like even like the new installment in the Animal Crossing franchise, I don't think can really capture that for me because, like I said, how the Animal Crossing games kind of shy away, or they kind of represent the like simplistic lifestyle, which isn't a flaw by any means. Just, but you know, like I said, it exemplifies we don't need all this extra stuff to be, you know, happy. But yeah, like in Animal Crossing New Horizons, you have a phone now, and it's good for innovation, but I feel like that's sort of like, at least for me, it kind of breaks away a little bit, and I'm not like kind of too fan of it. It's like it's a very nitpick, I guess you could say, but it's just the truth, and like this is how I feel. And you know, I might maybe not be right. People might have like better reasons, and my opinions might change a little bit. But the matter of fact is, you know, this is how I feel, and this is, you know, I obviously have like a tend for like authenticity and such, which I feel like the Animal Crossing series is like strong. That's like the strong suit. If you like seen gameplay of like Animal Crossing, just not only just the graphics, but maybe just the vibe it gives off, you could. I mean, I guess the graphics really heavily illustrate the time period it was released in, but the matter of the fact is that it's really something just to admire, you know? I've listened to the music on a daily basis because it genuinely has like the perfect soundtrack for, you know, what it does. So like for each hour of the day in game as a separate soundtrack. Like when I'm shopping at quality food at Costco, which, you know, shout out by the way, you know, this game also reminds me like, it's like all the simple things like food, like good food, good music, good people, like good vibes and such. But going back what I was talking about, so I'm going to Costco, I'm like shopping for my shit, and then I just put on like Animal Crossing music. I'm doing upset, like I'm having fun. And dude, and this is like already on top of like how fun it is to shop at Costco. Like I might sound like a boomer or something, but dude, I'm being for real. Like you find a lot of good shit at Costco. I know this is like a tangent, but like fuck it, dude. I'm being real. What else? And then there's definitely other times for like when I go to cafes. I usually go to cafes to, you know, find a significant other, or I go there just to, you know, chill on a Sunday day, or Sunday morning rather, and just have like a nice latte. You know, I like my white girl drinks, and I'll just like write some like notes in my Notion shit, and I'll just put on some Animal Crossing themed music. Like if it's like 10 a.m. I put the 10 a.m. theme, and dude, it's something, man. I know you could say this for the whole series, but New Horizons doesn't strike that with me, but New Leaf, it hits me home. And I'm a sucker for it. There's like rainy versions of the songs too, so like it's rainy, then I listen to rainy. So it's really immersive for me. Time blocking, or like that sort of concept, or just segmenting your day. Like if you like listening to music, having something on in the background, and it gets you like thinking, I feel like it does a good job of doing so. And like when it changes, you have like a different mood according to the song. And I'll go a little bit more into that in a different video, how integral music is to our lives. But I don't know, it's definitely interesting how that works, at least to me. It's just, I think the Animal Crossing music, what I'm trying to say is it definitely it's like the cherry on top of making things more, I guess, satisfying for me. So like if you take a mundane task, like maybe a cleaning room for example, you just put some Animal Crossing music, bro, and you're just pretending you're doing that shit in the game. Like dude, I'm not gonna lie, that helped me through a lot. And I'm really like convinced in naming this video how Animal Crossing changed my life. Like I'm like really tempted to do that just for the clicks and shit. You know, I gotta get by somehow. But another thing I want to know too, this kind of goes back to the authenticity. I don't like how and like New Horizons, how it's like it's very like a very minor feature, but it's like huge for me. So the only way the villagers will actually leave is like, if they ask you, like they have to ask you, can they leave? Which, okay. Like, I guess I get to be nice, but it's just, they feel like dolls in a dollhouse, you know? It doesn't feel real. They can't leave wherever they want. They gotta wait until you're in the game and then ask you. What happens if you're like on someone else's island jacking their shit up and then you just leave? They wouldn't know a thing. And they can't contact you either. They don't have phones, from what I'm aware of. But what I'm getting at is like, I wish I wish the like new installment and just the series as a whole like just retains its simplicity about like the real like genuine conversations with the villagers. They have their own choices. They can move like wherever they want. They don't have to ask for you to leave. Like they'll just leave you like a letter, just like detailing like how much they miss you and such. And it's very sweet. And I guess to like tie like this portion together is that Animal Crossing New Horizons villagers are just the NPC of NPCs. I feel like that's like too harsh or too bold of a claim, but that's kind of what it feels like because they're so dialed down to what they're used to. And I'm aware it's kind of like that for New Leaf as well, but not as bad. I don't know, man. The music helps me get like feel present in the moment. I know that may not make sense for some people. I guess for some people, maybe to be absolutely in the moment, no music, no anything, just you and nature, or you and the person talking and such, and just form like a bond there. If I'm by myself, you know, either or can help. I'm just saying that those are options, and I feel like nothing's wrong about gamifying your life and improving some areas of your life, or making it more enjoyable for you. I feel like the most interesting impact that this game had on me was definitely my communication. Well, it doesn't make all too much sense, right? Like you're just talking to fictional animals. You as the player, you don't talk, there's no mic you talking to like really interact. Hell, the most interaction you get from the game is not even from the game itself. It's from Miiverse, which was like Nintendo's form of Twitter. That shit was great. You know, there's like something that I really relate to. I'm like posting on screen right now. I think it's the funniest shit. Getting back on track, I think this game really applied my philosophy of how we communicate and how much do you really need to say to make an impact on people, right? And not only like make an impact for like inspirational reasons, right? But just as like he's my friend, even though he doesn't talk much. There's people around the world who are like that. But people absolutely adore them. I understand, you know, the struggles. Like I wasn't afraid to talk to people, but I wasn't aware like what to say. So I did like my research and shit like throughout high school. You know, I believe I was in like freshman, sophomore year when I started doing it. Yeah, no, it was definitely my freshman year. Why am I mentioning all that? So, you know, obviously you're the character, whatever, you're talking with the villagers. There's no really that much expression from your character. The most expression you're gonna get is like how you customize your shirts in the game. I custom like flags and like there's like a tune you can customize. And like there's a villager who wants, how do you want me to greet you? Or write on like a stylus or like type it on, like you type on the bottom screen like what do you want, and then the villager's like, oh, you want whatever you typed on the bottom screen, and then proceeds. But pretty much you don't say shit at all. If you just go up to the villagers, if you just go up to the people, you know, what are you doing out here? Are you trying to catch a certain fish? Oh, like the weather's nice, you know, like just generic shit like this. And just depending on the person and like their background and like the context of with their life, you know, they might be like down the talk, you know, and some people are just not. It's just how it is.
Move, Eugene. God, don't talk to me.
The people that are willing to talk to you, even though you don't say a lot necessarily, you could just ask them like, oh, you know, like tell me about yourself, or like what have you been up to and such, and they'll like you because you're talking about yourself. And when you talk about yourself, you get a little bit egotistical sometimes. And even if you don't say much, just depending on the vibe you give off, and like whenever you do talk and say things, it's like approvable, it's kind, it's funny, it's interesting, whatever it takes to get the person to hook onto you, like keep you like in the back of their head, like, oh, like they're a good guy, you know, that's my G, you know. There's nothing like really just analyzing the game for me, just noticing my philosophy of talking is, it makes sense. Let me explain. You're the character, you're talking to the villager, you handpick one thing they say and you run with it. If you don't know what to say, just handpick one thing and just roll with it. If they're weird about it, then that's like on them. Like, of course, context matters. You can't just pull like the most diabolical, you know, non like filtered, like inappropriate thing and run with that. Like there's some variables that have to be followed, but generally the general rule is you take one word, just one word, and just say like, oh, Like, what's your thoughts on that? Or like what makes you like describe it like this? It's just depending on like where it is. You can go the distance with it. And even if it's like one word responses, because I believe there's like one word responses and the villagers still like run with it. If they respond like poorly, because I know the communication nowadays is pretty poor to say the least. You could just say like what's on your mind, like, oh, like what you said reminded me of like this. I'm saying all of this just to say that like really, it's even if you don't say jack shit at all, people will still love you. If you're a good person, good morals, you know, hell, you're probably like a redditor. Some people will still just love you just because like you're stupid or. I'm being so for real. That's like, I don't know, man. It's funny, but like, how real that is, you know. Just be present, listen carefully, and just really relate to the other person you're talking to. Like I say, like if it was like the word that you're interested in, and you run off of that, and you just keep it going. So, I feel like now looking back at this game and then like after like doing research, it makes a lot of sense to me. You know, it doesn't matter if this is just a game. It's supposed to be for your hobbies or whatever. If it makes you happy, if you have, you know, healthy boundaries with the game and you get something good out of it, then like by all means, it's good. You know, there's no harm in foul and, you know, involving yourself in the media, you know, as long as you don't get caught up in the Miiverse posts. Some people will be posting, they get some freaky shit up there, but you know, but being real though, I mean, I just want to express my gratitude to everyone who contributed to this game, and to the man who really just brought this whole ideal to life. You know, Katsuya Oguchi. Like your experience alone, just far away from your family and friends, and just other loved ones in general. You know, I'm glad it inspired you to craft this game. That inspiration has brought me closer to who I am today, and I really couldn't thank you enough. Thank you so much for providing me with the memories, provide me with the reasons why I am the way I am. Of course, you know, there's a lot more influences than just this game, but this is just a prime example of some good you can get out of video games. Not all video games are just meaningless. If you really pay attention to it, you can understand yourself a little bit more just by, you know, just by taking a second look at the game and possibly a deep dive just to really discover why you really are engrossed in the game that you're playing. So yeah, with that out of the way, I hope you really got some value out of this video. I mean, I really enjoyed making it. It's my first video of this sort of style. I just want to express my gratitude to you. We spent however long on this video. It doesn't matter, as long as it caught your interest and it sparked some thoughts and may even start a discussion. I really appreciate that. And you know, for wherever you are in the world, please take care. See ya.